We are moving on. What do we got next?
And this is where we tell you our favorite scenes of the film. And I am going to go ahead and start because I know you guys are wondering, number one, why half my nipple has been exposed like Janet Jackson, and his chest is as bare as a bird that was used during the living weight reference. So with that being said, we are rocking these robes for one man and one man only. Mr. King Rico. Rock 'em and sock 'em. Go get 'em. No pain having. All go Harry Stamper. Rico here. Man, look here, man. Hey, let me tell you something. This is going in my top three. No matter what film we do this season, this is going in my top three scenes still, or 7 minutes of heaven all season. I'm telling you that right now.
Wow, high praise. Okay.
Okay, listen. It's one thing to go third person verbally. It's another thing to go third person visually. I think he may be the first person on earth and in the film to ever go sixth person. It's when your three egos are like appreciating your other three egos. Okay. I'm just going to make this short and sweet. We only have so much time in this segment, but it, he wouldn't mind anyway. Cameron, that plays the character Rico. First off, let's start with the fact Rico's in the club with a fucking robe on. Like, at that point, like, this was a conscientious decision. He didn't get robbed. Nobody threw it over him last minute. Like, hey, man, we got to get you back home.
Nobody pulled him out of the driver's side window of their car and made him strip down to
so you must have saw my book. So, okay, yeah, you saw the book. So we'll get there. So Rico, the same Rico that he's mentioning, is in the club with the robe on. Okay. Not even okay. I can't even let that ride. High, drunk, sober. I can't let that ride. But Rico has the robe. Okay, let's pass that. The only reason that you can actually take your eye off the fact that Rico's wearing this robe is because you see a bunch of people crowded around him like they're in the amphitheater of or watching a football game or something. And then we cut to the TV in the club. And who else do we see? Not Rico, ravishing Rico.
Yeah.
Rico, with his clothes still on, is giving this chick the business. I'm talking about whatever he's got, however many inches is in Rico, he is giving it to her. Not only is he giving it to her, he is pouring champagne all on it. He's just and then as he's doing this, he tells his friends in the club, "Look at me."
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Look, no, that. No, this is Rico. We don't worry about that. This is what he does. Then as he's telling his friends, look at him.
Man, you're drawing too much attention. Be cool.
Hey man, that man. What the you got movie soldiers for if you can't use them? So then he's this pouring champagne on it. He said, "Look at me, did you see what I did? I hit the Dougie on that bitch." He did the Dougie as he's doing the Dougie,
which means he's seen this a few times.
Yes. So he successfully went sixth person for the first time a human has ever done that. All three of his egos, him, the person he thought he was, and the person he was talking about, had a conversation in the club with the robe on. You, my friend, are 7 minutes in heaven. Damn, 7 inches in heaven. You get it, Rico.
That scene brought me back, too, because this was before the days when you could just upload something or send something to your friends. You had to bring a VHS. And
his editing skills.
I'm here. Yeah.
Rico the editor.
Not to mention Rico the director. You saw him directing the girl during the scene.
Now move that. Yeah. Move that. Y'all see when I hit my dugout? God, Rico.
I'll give that to Cameron because as up as a character he is, he also accounts for some of the most hilarious moments while still being a up character.
Kermit, he called him up. He had on a big glass and he was small and he was green. That's why he called him Kermit.
He shoots the dude in the ass. Get the out of here. He shoots him in the ass.
But you didn't get our first Sesame Street reference. He calls Calvin Kermit because he's small and green. Like, you know, you call him, you a green mother. Like, you're small and green. What you doing, Kermit? And he says it to him when he kills him. Hey, Kermit.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. That shit just got me way too excited.
I like the scene, and we kind of talked about this earlier with Lulu and Mitch, the scene that kind of drove the difference between them. When you see Mitch talking to Ice in the corner store at the same time that Ace is talking to Lulu up in the apartment, that was like the first taste you get in the movie of like this editing style where you're getting like two things simultaneously, and there's like cues after that point, like, oh, these are poetically put together for a reason. They're not just because they're happening at the same time. Sometimes they're not even happening at the same time. They're put together because they're meant to give you as the audience this like yin and yang.
It's a poetry feel to it because poetry is not a story straight through. It gives you callbacks and things of that nature. And furthermore, when you see that, to me, what was more important about the scene you just brought up is what we always talk about, character development. You see them showing the choices they're making, why they're making. Like you see Lulu respecting Ace because Lulu, at the end of the day, Lulu and Ace were the same person. And he was like, it's basically without saying it. I just hate crappy movies where they tell you, hey man, I like you. I'm gonna put you under my wings. Don't spoon feed these.
Yeah.
I can tell that he liked them. So yeah, that's definitely a good scene, man. For me, it's kind of a segue to because I know we go back and forth with 7 Minutes in Heaven here. To me, it was not a callback to, but I don't think they had anything to do with each other. So I'm not gonna say the writers or somebody had influenced off the film. But me looking at Training Day. And in Training Day, when Denzel goes to see the wise men, you know, that meeting of the judges, all these corrupt people or whatnot, it likens to me because, think about it now, this is what most people don't understand. When we started the film, Ace, and this is why it's one of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite scene. I mean, when we start the film, we see Ace go to the hospital. He's bloody and everything. He looks, and you mentioned the money falling down. Money just didn't fall down in the club. He says later on in the film, I've been seeing this light for a while now. So point being is, do you know where he's looking at when that money's falling down at the beginning of the film?
That's outside the laundromat, right?
Correct, but what's right across the street?
I don't know.
The place Lulu took him.
Oh,
That's where
okay.
the Italian, the Columbia, that's where that's that spot. So ironically, you had one job on this side of the street, you had one job on the other side of the street, but that's not why it's the scene. It's the scene to where, first off, Lulu liked you, like, and to him back in those days, he was a Muliano. Fucking Ace is a Moolie. You go into that fucking Moolie, you know what I'm saying? You even referenced that later. Oh, you're a funny guy. It definitely was a Goodfellas reference in there. They called back. I was like, he's a funny man. You're a funny guy. But with that being said, he goes in there. He shows, number one, that Ace always showed he was a businessman. He brings back, like, he said 23 long or $20. He brings them back, like, a lot of money. And, like...
He was smart, though. He always kept he was like, he kept some diamonds for himself, too.
Because he didn't know how it was going to go.
Yeah.
He didn't. And that's the thing. I don't even think he kept them on him. He kept them where somebody in his family can find them. But he sits down and has that meeting. And you see that one wild card motherfucker. I wish we got to find his name to do the one. Like, hey, what you doing? I'm like, I like him. He was finna pop this motherfucker. That's their, so what you got? That was their Rico.
He probably wasn't even told to do that. That was probably natural instinct that came out. Yeah.
Right, like, you're right. But you need motherfuckers like, what the fuck you got soldiers for if you can't use them? Quote Rico.
That was a great line, too.
Yeah, so he comes up to him and, like, he hasn't known them for 5 minutes, and they basically have that round table meeting to where he trusts Ace so much, he gives him 14 keys and said, just go do your thing. Like, to me, that doesn't happen in everyday life. First off, he brought the money back, which their mind up, and what me up was, even if he didn't bring the money back, they didn't even look like they was finna miss it.
They weren't looking for it, clearly.
Okay, yeah, so yeah.
They were surprised that it came back to
right,
them.
like, okay.
Yeah, when, that's my honorable mention. So my number 2 is when Mitch throws Ice out of his mom's house. I thought that scene was so powerful because...
You said when Mitch throws Ice?
Yeah. When he comes in and he beats the shit out of him and throws him out.
But you know who Ice is to him, correct?
Would that be his... I took it as just his mom's friend.
No, that's his actual uncle.
Oh, okay.
So there delves that relationship to
So that makes that scene even more powerful. The way that Ice is talking to him and the way that he's talking about Sonny.
Correct. Because guess what? He used to be Sonny. Mitch used to be Sonny, and guess what? Ice was still there. And Ice was supposed to do for Mitch what Mitch was doing for Sonny. And see, if you notice that one scene, they didn't say it, but I know Mitch grew up seeing Ice tie off in the bathroom and get up on drugs. So when he comes there and he sees Sonny laid out on the thing sleeping, he's like trying to figure out who the watching Sonny, and the first thing you see is him open the door. Notice he's tied off. So as he opens that door, he's like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Well, he hit an insecure part of Mitch in that moment.
Because he said he's going to be just like you.
Yeah, and you could tell that Mitch was not angry really with Ice. He was angry with himself because, and you find out at the end, he's not in it for the money. He's in it because he feels like he needs that approval, that acceptance from everybody.
Talking about a four score and 7 drugs ago, this motherfucker, like, I'll get to that later. Remind me to come back to that. Go ahead. So for me,
so that was definitely my number 2.
Okay, so for me, one of the scenes, and I think it's on yours too, so we might as well both talk about it. Rico yet again makes an appearance in one of my top 7 minutes in heaven because top scenes. At this point, Kermit the Frog then already stole his homeboy. Well, not his homeboy. His assailant is Ace's money. They out there. They hungry. You know what I'm saying? That all this shit's going on. The dude pulls up. It's like, hey man, y'all. Like, it wasn't a dude trying to buy drugs for him to use. He wanted to buy drugs to go sell to somebody else. They were like, man, ain't nothing right now. The equivalent of ain't nothing in the '80s. Basically, ain't nothing right now.
Yeah.
And dudes keep talking like, come on, man. And now this is Rico still being somber. Rico is never somber. He's like, hey man, I just told you, man, it ain't nothing. And then, oh boy, Rico's the type of person that never needs drugs. He just needs a little bit to feel like he's trying. That motherfucker say, man, damn, Calvin got y'all shook. Listen, dude, I've seen a lot of movies. Anytime I've seen somebody really get pulled out of a car, I'm not saying he used one hand, but to me, it looked like he reached inside of a car, pulled this man out. Put it this way, in the history of film, no one's ever been pulled out of a car and derobed in 12 seconds.
Yeah.
He said, give me the sneakers too.
That's what, so they set Rico up so well because, like I said, he was an enjoyable character to watch, but he was also terrifying because you would see literal joy come upon him when the more he was with somebody, like he was diabolical and he took joy in it.
Well, speaking of that, when you say diabolical, I bet you didn't think that we were going to get a Harry Potter reference in this episode. But this is how good we are here at TTFT, where David and Tarian are so good at film that we're the only ones on the entire planet that can make a paid in full and Harry Potter reference. Here we go, kids. Wouldn't you know that the one reason why I could connect these two, let's just say Ace was Gryffindor. Who was Rico? Slytherin. Think about it. Equally as powerful from a certain aspect, but think about it from the moment I talked about last week. We talked about how they set Worm up from the beginning. It took a couple of people to set Worm's character up. It only took Rico to set Rico's character up. Now that's the brilliant part about it. Between Mitch, Ace, and Rico, they all had beautiful minds in different ways. But with that being said, we first meet Rico. Rico had his ears to the street. So while Rico's in jail, he hears that Mitch is coming to jail because he murdered that dude. So Mitch comes to jail. He realizes he has to befriend Mitch because he's getting back out. Rico has to befriend Mitch because Rico is trying to get close to Ace, and Rico knows he's going to get out before Mitch to even try to have something to meet Ace. So everything Rico pretty much did for the most part was always calculated. You saw he was always trying to get that DC connect. It was never enough for him. While Mitch didn't do it for the money. Yeah, Mitch loved his money, but he really loved the acclaim, the crowd cheering. Rico was all about the money, and Ace was all about being quiet. So it's almost like a Gryffindor, Slytherin, Muggle-born syndrome. Because Mitch was Muggle-born, and then we started getting money. He was like, nah, I can't stop. We'll keep going for that. So that's my Harry Potter reference.
They're all definitely they approach it three very different ways, but they all have the same goal for three very different reasons.
Correct.
Or at least that they'll accomplish the same outcome, but for
I don't think they all have the same goal. No.
Well, I mean, the same. They can accomplish the same. They can accomplish the same job.
They can accomplish their goals using the same common denominator. I agree.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Pretty much, they're like you said. One wants the acclaim. One wants the money. One wants the security, and just to be all right and take care of everybody around them.
It was eerily similar to if you've ever seen Belly. DMX is like they rolled DMX's character they rolled Mitch and Rico into one for DMX character in Belly, and Nas was Ace.
Okay, yeah. My honorable mention before I get to number one is when Mitch goes up to the dealer on the stoop and the dealer got robbed. And he's like, well, first, Mitch him out, but the best part was when
don't go that way.
But yeah, don't go that way. Go that way. Like, what the why does it matter which way? This is
because you've been making the wrong decision all
Oh, so he just assumed, whatever way you decided to go the other way.
Because you've been making a bad decision. Now here's the up part about here's the good part about why this is beautiful. I didn't even know you had that scene, but an important part about that scene was this. Think about what he said. Before he said, "You ain't eating. Get out of here. Go find him. Until that, you ain't eating." What happens at the beginning of the movie when he loses the bet? He ain't had the money. You ain't eating. He took his Chinese food and stuff. So it's the callback.
And the way it goes, that scene, that's the scene that goes directly into the retaliation. That's timed right up with Scarface going, "Say hello to my little friend."
Yes,
that was great.
So here's the thing. Real quick before we get out of this part, because I know if Mitch doesn't go retaliate, he doesn't go to jail, he doesn't meet Rico, most of that shit never happens.
All right, so my number one scene is they found Mitch. That scene is so powerful with Regina Hall. Her performance, and not just because I have a crush on her, but I think there's the reason why that scene is so powerful is because it's so familiar to how we are accustomed to getting horrifically horrible news in reality. In most cases, it's not firsthand. In most cases, we're finding out after the fact, very similar to, for me personally, it brought me back to the phone call with Jeff's mom, where we've been looking for him for 3 days, and you get the phone call, and it's like, it's one of the, you're getting information that you should have been prepared for in some way, but when the information comes, it's still blindsiding, and there's no way that you could have ever prepared for it. And that moment captured that emotion and that heartbreak so perfectly. So like it was, you could feel it, you could touch it.
The blocking in that scene was top notch because again, we get him walk in with the one shot, and then it shows you, like, to me, so much emotion going on in that scene. And at first, I'm like, okay, some overacting is finna come on Woods Harris' part. But then you realize, like, no, that's exactly how you're not yourself when you get that news. That's not who you are. And then when he falls down against that wall, you see, it's like, damn, they're on different sides of what's going on, but it shows you, like, they're all hurt. And then again, the sucker punch was like a scary movie. They make it seem scary, then nothing happens, and all of a sudden, damn, bitch. That is so wait a minute, he walks in, and what does he say? Damn, they found Sonny. So he's getting ready to break down about Sonny.
And you're ready for that.
Yeah, but
and then they're like, nope, blindside, here comes the left.
Boom.
And it knocks you out.
But here's the crazy part about it. What they're not letting you know, like the common audience would stop just there and say, well, okay, he thought it was Sonny, and it was one of his best friends, pretty much my best friend Mitch. And see, another thing I want to talk about with that dynamic real quick, and I'm glad that you said that was your top scene, because I wasn't going to say that, but I'm loving that you said that, because all through the film you saw there were the two best friends, even when all three of them were taking pictures in the club. Rico was never next to Ace. It was always Mitch in between them. Go back and look at it. You never really see them together. But my point was this: is that what you didn't understand was this: like, he was losing his best friend. Furthermore, at that moment, he knew, because he gave him he knew who killed him.
Yeah, and that goes back to the awesome storytelling, the way the movie was cut. That's what made that scene so powerful. Is you walk into a scene, you find out that Mitch died, and then you get the double sucker punch when you go back and find out that it was Rico that did it. When of course you're going to assume that, but to see it actually happen, you already know how it's going to play out, and that scene is still powerful to watch him do it. And then the gratifying moment on the basketball court,
which we'll get to.
Okay.
But the foreshadowing happened before that. Did you notice in the club? But see, me, this is why I say you can be a film watcher or a filmmaker, but it's hard to be both, because I found myself watching the film, and you at certain points you still gotta, and I know me and you do it now. We'll be watching the film we've seen 100 times, and be like, oh snap, we're looking at it from the block, and we're looking at this point in the club scene where Rico is showing that whole, like, when Ace comes up to him like, man, why you gotta be like this? So to me, Ace gotta handle him. He's been ready to handle Calvin, but once again, cinematography blocking. As he's saying this to Rico, this is when I knew Rico was going to be. I mean, we all knew Rico was going to be the demise of him. But as Ace is trying to tell him, man, chill out. He's like, that's what I do. That's what I do. He was like, man, nah, see, that's the problem. He was like, what's the problem? He like doing that little rolling like his mindset is that of a kid.
Yeah.
He's rolling his eyes like this mother. Like the Ace's story for everybody. Like, you eating. What's the problem? And I firmly believe, I don't know if you remember this scene, I think it was a setup, because again, he was always slithering. Rico was slithering. Remember when Rico came to Ace sitting in a car just like this? Was a call back to Jay-Z sitting in a car in State Property, because that's how Jay-Z was sitting in the car, another Rockefeller film just like that. They got Ace sitting in the car the same way. Rico comes up to Ace like, say, man, I heard something. This dude right here was trying to set you up. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to gain more loyalty to him. When he probably told that dude, like, man, he was never trying to set Ace up, and he shot a dude in the ass. Yeah. And that was the scene I was talking about where Rico had his name on his shirt 3 times. What the Rico? Gee, and hey, what's also funny about that, real quick? I know we're going to the next segment. What's the crime they call it when you conspire with a whole bunch of people and a crime is committed?
Isn't that the RICO Act?
And that's why I'm here.
That's funny. Yeah. All right. That concludes 7 Minutes in Heaven. Find us in all these links. It's coming up right now.
That's the trailer.